The night is thick with questions. Somewhere beyond the noise of screens and sirens, a single candle still burns in the home of a dreamer who refuses to bow to darkness. Its flame trembles, yet it does not break. That candle is you, and the wind that rattles your windows is the world's doubt. If you let it in, it will swallow your horizon. But if you shelter that flame, if you feed it with breath and belief, it will grow into a bonfire visible from distant hills, guiding others who wander blind. Tonight, we light that torch together. Tonight, we draw a line in the sand and declare, two storms and shadows alike, I will not surrender my tomorrow to the mood of today. Every revolution begins inside a single skull. Think of Bob Marley, barefoot on the stage, sweat shimmering like stardust on his dreadlocks, defying borders with a six-string and a song. He didn't inherit a golden throne, he chiseled one from stone, with nothing but rhythm and resolve. He tuned his heartbeat to the cadence of freedom, and dared the planet to march in time. So must you tune your mind. Because mindset is not a buzzword, it is the governor of destiny, the thermostat of possibility. Set it low, and you shiver through life. Set it high, and you melt iron bars. Belief is the next domino. No invention ever breathed without a reckless believer at its cradle. Edison scorched his fingers on 1,000 filaments before coaxing the first electric sunrise from glass. Carnegie carved railroads across a continent with nothing but immigrant grit. Disney, fired from a newspaper for lack of imagination, drew a mouse that built an empire. They were laughed at, doubted, mocked, yet laughter was a drum, doubt, a bass line, mockery, a guitar riff in the anthem of their ascent. Let sneers become percussion in your song. Let every whispered impossible become the offbeat that keeps you charging forward. Clarity sharpens the spear. A hazy target breeds wandering arrows. Picture a lighthouse. Its beam slices clean through fog, not by lighting every molecule of mist, but by focusing a single blade of brilliance on one path. Carve your vision with that same precision. Write it, speak it, see it so vividly that your mind confuses it with memory. When you define what you fight for, you transform chaos into coordinates and fear into forward motion. Vision alone, though, is ink without parchment, unless welded to purpose. Purpose is the drum under Marley's rebel music, the why that thunders beneath every chord. It is Rosa Parks refusing a bus seat, Mandela pacing a Robben Island cell, Malala whispering in a classroom echoing with gunfire. Purpose makes suffering sacred, turning wounds into wisdom and heartbreak into harvest. Dig until you strike that underground river of meaning and let it flood every corridor of your life. Discipline then rises as the iron spine of victory. Napoleon Hill wrote that self-discipline is the master key to riches, spiritual, intellectual, and material. It is the farmer waking before dawn when the field is still frostbitten, the athlete lacing shoes on days when muscles scream rebellion, the writer hammering sentences while the world binge-watches forgettable shows. Discipline is love in work boots. It shows up when emotion packs its bags. Strap it on like a shield, for comfort will seduce you with lullabies while destiny waits outside in the rain. Action is the lightning strike that ignites theory into wildfire. A plan unopened is a love letter never mailed. Your ideas ache too. Touch earth, to taste friction, to bleed and heal and grow scar tissue thick as armor. Ford didn't sketch Model Ts for a hobby. He rolled them onto muddy roads and listened to gears grind, then bent steel until the grind became a purr. Take imperfect steps, trip, curse, and rise, grinning with dirt in your teeth. One stumble in motion is holier than 1,000 pristine intentions shelved in fear. Yet gratitude must lace each stride or success curdles into arrogance. Gratitude is not passive contentment, it's active fuel. It whispers, because I have been given this breath, I will use it. Lincoln, in war-torn nights, penned letters, thanking soldiers who might never read them, but the act warmed his resolve. Likewise, count your mercies like soldiers in formation. Thank the sunrise, the setback that taught you patience, the rival who sharpened your blade. Gratitude turns possessions into provisions, transforming scarcity into surplus of spirit. Adaptability is the dance between storms. Marley's reggae bent around ska, rocksteady, and soul, absorbing shocks while staying true to roots. So must you bend without breaking. The marketplace mutates, technology mutinies, politics pirouette, but principle endures. Reskill, reframe, reimagine. The oak that refuses to sway snaps. The reed that yields survives the hurricane and stands laughing when the wind grows tired. Resilience then cements the legacy. Not the brittle bravado of pretending pain is painless, but the courageous art of transmuting pain into power. When life hurls stones, you can dodge, hide, or build. Harriet Tubman built a railroad of freedom through the very night that meant to smother her. You too can mortar hardship into a bridge. Each scar writes your anthem in ink that rain cannot wash away. Learning keeps the bridge expanding. Andrew Carnegie read by candle as a telegraph boy. Oprah inhaled books in a Mississippi corner. Marley studied scripture and street wisdom alike. Knowledge isn't a trophy-odds ammunition. Aim it, fire it, reload daily. Let humility be your tutor and curiosity your compass. When the ego claims I know enough, wisdom slips quietly out the back door. Now, weave these threads together. Mindset the loom, belief the thread, clarity the pattern, vision the design, purpose the die, discipline the shuttle, action the strike, gratitude the embroidery, adaptability the stretch, resilience the reinforcement, learning the continual embellishment. The tapestry is your future, but only if you fight for it, while the fabric is still soft enough to shape. The enemy is complacency, smooth-tongued, wearing the cologne of later. Later is a pickpocket. It steals birthdays, opportunities, entire lifetimes, one small postponement at a time. History books do not record the comfortable nap, the perfectly balanced schedule, the man who almost tried. They echo with the footsteps of those who acted now, even when now was inconvenient, unloved, and afraid. Feel the pulse under your ribs. It is a reminder that sand is slipping relentlessly through the hourglass. You cannot negotiate with time. You can only harness it. Seize dawn like a guitar, strum deliberate chords upon its strings, and let the world dance to the rhythm of your determined morning. Rise before doubt has put on its shoes. Fear will attend every banquet of ambition, but you control its portion size. Feed it crumbs, and it will shrink. Feed courage banquets, the memory of past triumphs, the story of David slinging stones at giant tyranny, the spine of mothers who raise empires on minimum wage, the silent heroes who rebuild cities after fire. Let courage feast until it crowds. Fear from the table. Picture the future you refuse to lose. See the architecture of your coming achievements, the company pulsing with innovation, the community garden where children learn hope from soil, the book whose pages outlive your breath. Hear your descendants chanting your name, not for bloodline alone, but for blueprint. They inherit a map traced in sweat, a melody of perseverance spun on vinyl thick enough to survive centuries. Lift your chin, roll your shoulders back. Inhale like mountains are keeping count. This is the convergence of all you've been and all you might become. The crossroads where excuses are exiled and resolve is crowned. The universe is not indifferent, it is responsive, bending subtly to the will that refuses to wilt, so speak. Declare your intention the way the sun declares morning without apology. Let your words be seeds dropped into the soil of consciousness, sprouting deeds, blooming into destiny. Sing like Marley's guitar slicing through oppression. Write like Hill chiseling laws of thought into granite. Build like Tesla conjuring lightning in a laboratory of dreams, and when twilight whispers its lullaby of surrender, answer with drums. Pound your heartbeat against the silence until it morphs into anthem. March through the valley of doubt, armored in the certainty that every dawn favors the bold. Love your future enough to bleed for it today. Asterisk, because the fight is now, not tomorrow. When you feel ready, not someday, when conditions align, like obedient planets. Ready is a myth. Alignment is the reward of motion. Leap, and the net appears woven by the very wind you feared would break you. Decide, and decisions carve highways through wilderness. Tomorrow's you is watching, taking notes, cheering, or weeping, based on the courage of this moment. Give them reason to stand on their table and roar. Deliver them a legacy so furious with life that they race to add chapters rather than mend fractures. Let the candle you guard become a torch. The torch a signal fire, the signal fire a sky of dawn over nations tired of night. Your fight is not selfish, it is symphonic. Each stride you take composes chords that echo through hearts you'll never meet, convincing them they, too, can rise. So tighten your fists around faith. Sharpen your mind against challenge. Temper your spirit in the furnace of discipline. Meet dawn, not as a beggar of circumstance, but as a commander of possibility. Asterisk, this is your arena. This is your anthem. Why you must fight for your future now. Because the future has already begun. And it is demanding proof of your devotion, because if you do not fight for your future, someone else will write it for you. And they will not write it with your voice. They will shape it in the image of their convenience, their control, their comfort. The world does not hand out dreams, it auctions them. The highest bidder is not the loudest or the smartest, but the one who refuses to stop showing up. So many people spend their lives pacing in the waiting room of their destiny, never realizing the door was unlocked the whole time. They wait for permission, for perfection, for someone to notice. But the truth is, no one is coming. No cavalry, no miracle, no signal in the sky. You are the signal. You are the answer. You are the movement you've been waiting for. You don't need more time. You need more fire. You don't need approval. Need awareness. Awareness that every second you hesitate, rust forms, that dreams decay in silence, that greatness is allergic to procrastination. You must begin now, even with shaking hands and a trembling voice, even with cracked tools and no applause, and when fear screams that you are not ready. Remember, readiness was never a requirement, resolve was. Look at those who came before you, who had every reason to quit, and yet did not. Martin Luther King Jr., speaking from a pulpit while threats circled like vultures. Helen Keller, born into silence and darkness, yet taught the world to see with soul and hear with heart. Muhammad Ali, stripped of everything, yet shadowboxed fate until the world crowned him again. They were not superhuman, they were simply done waiting. The same fire that burned in them sleeps inside you. It's buried beneath layers of doubt, smothered under the rubble of criticism and conformity. But it's there, still hot, still alive, still hungry. And every act of courage, every disciplined choice, every refusal to quit, stokes the embers into flame. This is not just about you. This is about every person watching you silently, every friend who forgot their power, every child who will model their stride after yours, every soul who lost their way and needs proof that return is possible. Your fight sends out a signal. It says, you are not alone. We rise together. This world trains us to shrink. It sells smallness disguised as safety. But greatness is a rebellion. And every time you rise early, when you could have slept, speak truth when you could have lied, risk when you could have played it safe, you are declaring war on mediocrity. Let them call you crazy. Let them roll their eyes when you say you want to build, to heal, to change, to create. That's the first sign that you're touching the edge of something holy. The dreamers are always doubted until the dream is undeniable. But you must not only dream. Dreaming without doing is a lullaby, a fantasy, a drug. Wake up. Let your dreams fuel you like rage, like thunder, like holy fire. Let your dream demand action. Fight with your focus. Focus is a blade. Most people swing wildly and wonder why nothing is cut. But when you hone it, when you eliminate distractions, cancel out noise, silence the doubters in your own head, you cut through years of confusion in a single, decisive strike. Fight with your habits. What you repeat becomes your rhythm. What you tolerate becomes your standard. The small things, they are everything. The second alarm, the skipped rep, the broken promise to yourself. These are the termites that hollow the foundation. Build habits so tight that even your worst day still moves you forward. Fight with your circle. Surround yourself with giants, even if they intimidate you. Especially if they intimidate you. Because iron sharpens iron, but rust spreads fast. Some people love the old version of youth, the compliant one, the limited one, the predictable one. Let them go. Or better yet, let them watch. And most of all, fight with your voice. Speak life over your future. Speak power into your purpose. Speak as if the universe bends to belief, because in many ways, it does. The words you choose are spells. They either curse your path or command it. Stop calling yourself broken. Stop narrating failure. Speak only what you're willing to chase. Speak only what you are ready to prove. The climb will hurt. The doubts will come. The days will blur. But momentum doesn't need magic, just movement. Each day you show up, even if you crawl, even if you limp, even if you fail forward, you generate gravity. You become a force. You become a presence. You become undeniable. And eventually, the world that once ignored you will be forced to reckon with you. Not because you demanded attention, but because you became too disciplined to disappear. So rise. Rise like the tide. Rise like a song remembered after silence. Rise like sun through shattered glass. You are not too late. You are not too weak. You are not too broken. You are becoming. There will be a day in your future when you will look back at this version of yourself, the tired one, the doubting one, the one who stood at the edge, and you will say, that was the day I turned the tide. That was the day I chose the fight. That was the day I met the warrior within me. And from that day on, nothing was the same. So write it down. Burn it into your memory. Tattoo it on your soul. You must fight for your future. Now, not because it's easy, not because it's fair, but because you were born to win. Because the battle for your future is not fought in grand arenas. It is fought in silent, unseen moments. The moment you wake up and decide to rise instead of roll over. The moment you feel fear and move anyway. The moment you speak truth instead of staying quiet to make others comfortable. These are the unseen victories that build an unshakable foundation. You don't win your future by wishing for it. You win it by becoming the kind of person who cannot be denied. The kind who trains when no one watches. The kind who learns when no one tells them to. The kind who keeps their promises to themselves first, and to the world second. This is how legends are made, not in the spotlight, but in the shadows. When Bob Marley said, "Get up, stand up for your rights," he wasn't only speaking of revolution against governments. He was speaking of inner revolution, the kind that overthrows laziness, self-pity, and inherited limitations. He was speaking of the war inside your chest, the one that decides whether you live as a prisoner of your past or as a sculptor of your future. And what is your right, if not the right to build a life on your own terms? What is your right, if not the right to become the masterpiece the Creator hid in your DNA? You were not born average. You were trained into it. You were shown the fence and told to stay within. But I am here to remind you, the fence is a lie. Your potential is not penned in by your parents, your postcode, your history, or your mistakes. You are not a product, you are a producer. You are not a statistic, you are a storm. But a storm must choose its direction. It must focus. It must strike. Asterisk, so what do you want? Not in vague terms. Not in the soft, diluted dreams you share too. Avoid judgment. I mean the real thing. The one that scares you. The one that makes your heart race because you can barely imagine deserving it. That's the one. That's the signal. That's the compass. Chase that, and no, it won't be easy. The mountain will not kneel to you. You must climb. You must bleed. You must become stronger with every setback, sharper with every mistake, more dangerous with every delay. The storm does not apologize for thunder, and neither should you apologize for your ambition. People will say you've changed. That's because you must change. You cannot become new while clinging to old. You cannot reach new peaks with old ropes. Shed it, the self-doubt, the excuses, the what-ifs, the not-yets. Cut the dead weight before it drags your future into the grave. And do not let fear borrow your voice. Fear will make you narrate your own defeat before the battle begins. It will whisper every reason to stay small, every memory of failure, every lie someone once told you about your worth. But fear is a master illusionist. The danger isn't real, the hesitation is, and hesitation is a slow suicide of potential. You must override fear with focus. Lock in like the archer who breathes in silence before the shot. Lock in like the fighter who hears nothing but his opponent's breath. Your focus must be ruthless. Your attention must be sacred. You don't owe it to social media. You don't owe it to gossip. You owe it to the version of yourself who is still waiting to meet the real you. This version, the one grinding in silence, sweating in the dark, doubted by many, but driven by vision. That version builds empires. That version alters bloodlines. That version becomes a symbol. Because when you choose the fight, when you stay in the fire long enough to become forged instead of burned, you earn something no one can give you, and no one can take away: identity. You become someone whose name means something, not because it's famous, but because it's true, because it's aligned, because it's worn like armor and spoken like truth. Your name becomes a banner on the battlefield of purpose, a symbol of resilience, a reminder to the world that one soul, fully awake, is more powerful than 10,000 who sleepwalk through life. Asterisk, and you know what happens then. The world adjusts. It bends. It listens. Not because you shouted louder, but because you became louder with action, with consistency, with truth. The wind stops resisting the eagle once it realizes the eagle doesn't ask for permission to fly. So, fly, soar, rise beyond the level they thought you were born to stay at. Build the business, start the art, train the body, free the mind, speak the word, chase the calling. Make it impossible for the world to forget you. Why? Because your story is not just yours. It's medicine for someone else. It's proof. It's prophecy. It's permission. Your rise becomes their rise. Your light becomes a flare in their night. Your fight becomes a movement. But it must start here, with you, with now. Not after the weekend. Not after the mood returns. Not after someone approves. Now. Now is the only time that has ever created history. Now is the only moment you can shape. Now is the battleground. Now is the answer to every excuse that begins with one day. This is your call to arms, your declaration, your line in the sand. So write it, etch it, burn it into stone. I will fight for my future. I will not wait. I will not fold. I will rise. I will build. I will become. I will not go back to sleep. And when doubt knocks again, as it will open the door with fire in your eyes and scars on your knuckles, and say, "You're too late. I've already begun." And you never stop. Because once you begin, truly begin, there is no going back. You'll taste progress, and it will be sweeter than comfort. You'll feel power, Not the kind given by others, but the kind born in the trenches of your own persistence. And that kind cannot be faked. It cannot be taken. It's earned, one hard decision at a time. The world wants you tame, docile, obedient, forgettable. But your soul wasn't built for cages. It wasn't wired for repetition or smallness. It was lit by the same force that births galaxies and breaks chains, and you know it. That's why you feel restless. That's why mediocrity makes you sick. That's why quiet lives haunt you more than death. You are here to build, to break, to rise, to shake the rust off generations of fear. You are here to destroy the belief that this is all there is. Because it's not. There is more. There is always more, but only for the one who dares to fight for it. You've already suffered. You've already lost. You've already crawled through nights that nearly stole your name. But here you are, still breathing, still listening, still burning. That's not an accident, that's a signal. That's purpose refusing to die quietly inside you. Think of the people who would kill for one more chance, the father who ran out of time, the mother who never got to dream, the child whose potential was crushed by violence or silence. You are their echo, their hope, their vengeance. Live in a way that avenges every life that never got the chance to rise. That means you stop waiting for motivation. You don't need it. Discipline eats motivation for breakfast. You show up when it's raining, when you're tired, when the results are invisible and the critics are loud. Because you're no longer negotiating with your future. You've already made the decision. Your word must become law to yourself. When you say you'll train. When you say you'll write. When you say you'll build. Because self-trust is the foundation of all confidence. And the world doesn't trust people who don't trust themselves. So trust yourself. Even if the voice is still shaky. Even if the steps are uneven. Even if every fiber of your past tells you you're not the one. Walk anyway. Speak anyway. Work anyway. Because courage doesn't mean absence of fear, it means domination over it. It means being scared and moving anyway. And if you need proof that it's possible, look around. Everything you admire was built by someone who was once exactly where you are. Broke, lost, doubting, overwhelmed. But they fought. They read the books, made the calls, did the reps, showed up, again and again. Until reality had no choice but to yield. So make reality bend, carve it, break it, burn it down, and build again. Because your life is a canvas, but the brush is on fire, and hesitation is gasoline. You either move, or you melt. You either create, or you're created by someone else's agenda. Stop asking if you're ready. You weren't born to wait, you were born to win. But winning has a price. It costs comfort. It costs popularity. It costs sleep. It costs ego. It costs letting go of everything that isn't aligned with the man or woman you're becoming. But if you pay that price, you earn the reward. Peace in your mind, fire in your blood, and legacy in your name. Because the world may forget your posts. It may ignore your titles. It may erase your possessions. But it cannot forget your example, and that's what this is about. Not money, not fame, not even success, but becoming an example of what's possible. So when the next generation asks what to do when it gets hard, when it gets dark, when the road disappears and the world says quit, they'll speak your name, not as a slogan, but as a blueprint. They'll say, they fought, they stayed, they overcame. And so will I. So let this be the moment, the threshold, the ignition dot. Let this be the day you burned your past and forged your future. Let this be the hour where your old self died quietly, and your true self stood tall and said, I am here. I am ready. I am not afraid to bleed for what I believe in. You don't need a sign. This is the sign. You don't need another chance. This is your chance. So fight, not with fists, but with focus, not with rage, but with resolve, not with noise, but with action. Fight for your future, because no one else will, because the clock does not care, the crowd does not wait, and life does not pause. And you were never meant to pause, you were meant to ignite.